the real fun starts now, Vyanjanani, because the way it's actually arranged is quite rich. You will see how much thought that they has went behind the structuring of Sanskritam. There's a lot of thing that has been put forth by Panini in his Ashtadhyayi. And Panini, he defined the way you make a sound in this formula is, in order to make a sound, you need three components. This is applicable mostly in, actually this is applicable only for consonants. Abhyantara prayatna and Bahya prayatna and Bahya prayatna 2. There are two variations within the Bahya prayatna. So what I mean saying Abhyantara prayatna is the preparation that you do in order to make the sound. So in our case, this is, if you see, this is for Vyanjanani, but look at this. So when this is the same locations for swaras as well as the Vyanjana or the consonants too. But notice here that when you are contracting, when you're touching your tongue, when you're touching with some part of those 5 points in the mouth, you are basically preparing for the sound to come, right? So that's called Abhyantara prayatna. Abhyantara is preparatory. You're preparing for the effort that you're going to make soon to make the sound. And then you do the Bahya prayatna. Bahya, when you really start uttering the sound, you have variations within that. One is Aghosha versus Ghosha. And second one is Mahaprana versus Alpaprana. So you may ask what these two are. So this is where the whole bulk of the content resides with the consonants to understand the right way. So what I mean say the Bahya Prayatna, first one versus second one is, you see this one, let me make it a little big so you all can see it clearly. So you see this is the Aghosha and Saghosha or soft. Aghosha is hard and Saghosha is soft. Just notice Kakha, Gaga, Cha Cha, Jaja, Tata, Dada, Tatha, Dada. You can notice it takes less effort to say Gaga and Jaja and Tata compared to their corresponding the harder Aghosha versions Kakha, Cha Cha, Tata, right? So that's the first level of Bahya Prayatna. The second level of Bahya Prayatna is when you are within this set of the consonants, what you end up having is you had to put little bit more prana for another letter. Ka, Kha. So Ka is simple, but when you add between more prana, more vayu or air, it becomes Kha. Ka, Kha. Same thing here. Even though Ga is softer or Sagosha, when you add more vayu, it becomes Gha. Ga, Gha. Same thing here. Cha, Cha. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to highlight the differences between Bahya Prayatna 1 and 2. In Swaras you have 1 matra and 2 matras. Here we have Alpa Prana and Maha Prana. Right? And within that again the Kavarga. The Kavarga is, when you say Kavarga, it means the whole row of this. It is all belongs to Kavarga because they all arise from the same location within by touching, that's a hard stop. Ka. So this all sounds that originate from this location, including the semi-vowels that we will cover later on pretty soon, they all fall under Kavarga, which is what you saw here. This all thing is all Kavarga. Even here also Ha also a little bit. And second Varga is Cha Varga. The Cha comes from this point, the same location where you have EE. the Swaras. Same location also have Cha Cha. But notice, Cha, you also had to slightly control the tongue here in order to make the sound. It's just a little bit more detail, but the main the reason they don't highlight this part, where you have to touch a little bit cha cha ja ja inya, is because the main sound is coming from this location. Even though you still have to do a little bit touching here, just make a note of that. And but rest all of them are specific. There is just no ambiguity. Rest of the ta varga, pa varga, or even ka varga, there are only one location where you have tongue and your rooftop touching, except for the cha varga where you have cha back and the fourth, and this one, and the dantya. And look, next one is ta varga, is ta da da na. When you say ta, you have a little bit kind of, it's not exactly roof, you kind of have to bring your tongue a little bit between, somewhere between the cerebral and this one. Just try to notice how we say ta da da. Then you have the forward one, which is the dental dantya, ta tha da dha na la sa no. Those are the semi-vowels. And the next one is the labial, pa pha ba bha ma. All the terms has been defined here. I'll just go one more time here, is that all this group are called sparsha, because you have to touch your tongue with your mouth part inside rooftop to make the sound. Anunasika is you have to get the sound from the nose cavity. This one, the nasal, irrespective of where the tongue is touching, the sound should come from nasal cavity also. In other words, if you close your nose, you should not be able to chant that letter. And that's the only litmus test that you can do to know if you're chanting it right or wrong. And that's the definition of Anunasika. Is it's a nasal, it has to come from the nose. Notice this is ka, kha, ga, gha, ang, like Shankara. In the kids, especially in those who came from India, when they learn these alphabets, we'll get a lot of different variations because it's tough to teach to the kids. So people, they give some different sounds, teachers, but the ultimate sound is ang. If I close my nose, I can't say ang. Ang. So you can't hear that completely, right? So that's Shankara or Pankaja. It has to go from the throat through the nasal cavity. So next one is a thalabya palatal, which is cha cha ja ja nya. Same thing, cha cha ja ja nya. The sound end result has to come from the nose. Again, the same test is, see, I can close my nose and say cha cha with no problem, but not the Anunasika. Cha cha ja ja nya. So you can see the sound is not complete, it's being held within. The moment I close my nose, that's the way you know that you are getting the sound from the nose. So next one is the mudnya. The retroflex is ta tha da dha ana. Ana is mispronounced by a lot of people. Ana is different, like Ganapati. It's not a Ganapati. It has to come from the nose. So the one easy way to say ana is, you see this one, this is my tongue, right? So na, it comes from here, right above the teeth, right? Ana, you flip all the way back, tongue, ana. The next one is ta, tha. It says tha is alpa prana, tha is maha prana. And it's the same thing here, da and dha. And dha is alpa and dha. And one easy way, tip to get this alpa prana versus maha prana is you get the sound ha at the end. Ka, kha. You see, you're hearing the ha at the end sound, right? When you say ka, you have uk plus a. Uk is the consonant, and then you have a as a swara. But when you say kha, what you do is, instead of a, you put ha there. Kha. You see? Anything that you see as mentioned as Mahaprana, same thing. So ta, tha, da, dha, na. And this is a mistake people do. because of the influence from Arabic. I think probably, it's we do not have a sound of fa. Fa is Arabic or Parsi letter actually. You won't find that fa anywhere in Sanskritam literature except in Vedic chanting. When you have a visarga followed by a pa, that's when you get fa sound. So it's pa and pa and ba, bha. We should also be careful about not mixing up the Alpa Prana and Mahaprana sounds for any letter. Take for example this letter pa. If you say phalam, that's fruit. But if you say palam, that means it's a flesh. And then ma is very simple. There's nothing much about it. So next one is Samyuktakshara is ksha. Samyuktakshara means it is you combine two consonants. Earlier in swaras we got that for a, I, o, au, right? Here it's that you got by combining two swaras, which is a and e, a, and then a plus u, o. But here Samyuktakshara, you're combining two letters, which is ka and sha. And sha is a semi-vowel that we'll cover soon, and ksha, ka and sha. And tra is ta and ra. And nya, ja is like a half a matra, and 1.5 matra is taken by nya. Nya, jnana, jnana, jnanamayi, right? So you have to perfect that. Make sure that you don't make a mistake on that. So these three are conjunct consonants, ksha, tra, gnya. So the nya that you perfected here earlier, you should come out, that should be more prominent, jnana. So now comes the semi-vowels. The vowels are not touching. You don't touch any, the tongue doesn't touch. Semi-vowels touches lightly, and then the consonants is a hard touching, hard stops. So that's why it's called semi-vowels. But within that semi-vowels, you have two different groups. One is called antastha, and another is called ushman. And what I mean by saying that is, you see the antastha, this is ya, ra, la, va, and ushman is sha, sha, sa, and ha, la. And the reason it's called antastha is it is an approximation. So if you notice, the antastha, stha is situated. Antaha is somewhere in between. In order to say ya, you have to move e to a. Ya. Just like how we got the sound in swaras, a, I, o, au. Similarly, we are going to do same combination here too, is e plus a, ya. And same thing also is ra. There's a differentiation between ra and ru. Take your tongue all the way to the rooftop and leave some room and let the air go between ru. And then it's not again ru, not ru. I'm not using my lips, it's ru. And then you move that towards a, ra. And also the ra, you have to hear some friction sound, like how you kind of rapture. You think ra. You flap your tongue against the dantya. Next one is la, lu plus a, la. It's again antastha. It's between the lu and a. And va is similarly u plus a, va. U, a, va. And notice that right now what we discussed in antastha, these rules, and also the rules are discussed earlier in those a, I, o, au, the diphthongs, all of them are also the foundation blocks of Panini's Ashtadhyayi, which is the grammar Sandhi rules. When you have two letters, just right now we are talking about only the two letters, right? But imagine that these letters are part of a whole word now. Then you have to adapt the sound accordingly. So for example, anteshti, anta plus ishti, antieshti. Now comes the ushman. Ushmans are sibling because they all come pretty close. Sa, sha, sha. And this is very important to notice the difference between this. So sa, you say here sa, and don't touch it, leave some gap, sa. And sha, you go a little bit back here, sha and sha. So sha, you don't use much of your tip. Sa, sha, sha. Sha, you basically lock the air inside. Sa, sha, sha. Notice the difference. For example, Samba, Sadha, Shiva, right? Sa, Samba, Sa, still a Sada, Shiva. And Ha is also comes under the Ushman. Ha. It just comes from directly Ha. It's kind of a Sha, Ha. How you have Sha, you let go that even extra gap that you have, and that becomes Ha, right? Sa, sha, sha, ha. So that is the reason it's also mentioned here. All the way is Ushman or frictative, because you're doing friction of the tongue and the rooftop. Sa, sha, sa, and same thing ha, and ha is same thing, is ha also comes from guttural ha. And another letter that is you will see very rarely is ala, and ala is a Vedic letter. For example, Rigveda starts with Agnimi ala, and ala also you constrict your tongue, you touch the tongue, take it towards the top, just like how we are doing for the ana. You have to take it all the way top, right, to the cerebral, and your tongue is here, and that's why you get the sound. Final one, ala. Ka, kha, ga, gha, ang, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, ana, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma, ya, ra, la, ba, sha, sha, sa, ha, la,